Welcome, Matrons. So in today's video, I'm going to eat my hair. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be doing a skull butterfly look, and I was inspired by these fake butterflies I saw online, and I decided that I was going to incorporate a skull, and then I have a wig, and I'm just winging it is what I'm doing. Now this is exciting because it's also going to be my entry into the NYX Face Awards 2017. I entered last year and I didn't get in, so I thought I'd try again this year because why not? It'd be fun. I hope that I get in this year. I may not. There's always next year, but I thought this is a good time to just have some fun. So I don't really have anything else to say, so let's get painting. Alright guys, so the first step of this tutorial is to make sure that your face is clean, moisturized, and primed. This will help the makeup sit on top of your skin and make it look smoother and nicer. I'm also going to be putting a wig cap on because I'm going to be adding a wig later. The next step is to conceal my eyebrows because I have really dark eyebrows and I don't want them showing for this look. So I'm going to be taking a glue stick and I'm going to be putting it onto my eyebrows and pressing it down with my finger. This is going to make sure the hairs are sitting as close to my face as they possibly can, making them very flat. And I'm going to take a translucent powder of any kind to put on top of the eyebrows when the glue gets tacky, when it's not completely dry, and I'm going to repeat that process 2 to 3 times to make sure that my eyebrows are as flat as they can be. Next, I'm taking a white eyeliner pencil and I'm sketching out my design, and I do this because it helps alleviate any mistakes later on in the painting. It also just gives me a better understanding of what I'm trying to accomplish and how I want it to be done. I'm going to be mapping out the cracks in the skin, which I let be all over the face. I thought that it'd be more interesting to see cracks going across the face in different ways as opposed to straight down the center of the face, as well as mapping out the skull. And if you don't really know where your skull would be, you can feel your face and kind of feel where the divots would be and where your teeth would be and everything to give you a better understanding if you don't know, or you could look at a reference photo. After I did that, I took a lavender purple body paint and I started filling in the skull section, leaving the nose, the eye, the temple of the forehead, and the mouth clear of any product to make sure that I can get a more pigmented look in those later when I add different colors. Next, I'm going to be taking a black body paint and I'm going to be filling in the whole section. So I'm starting with that little temple portion on my face and filling it in as opaque as I can get it. Then I'm taking that same black and I'm filling in the eye hole. And also I'm switching over to a detailed brush and adding some cracked looks off to the side, kind of making it more detailed, more interesting to look at instead of just being a big black blob. And if I don't use any of the sections that I did keep clear before, I did go in with that lavender color and just fill them back in. Then I switched over to the nose. I did the same thing. I started with a big brush and kind of filled in the big sections. And then I got a detailed brush and made little cracks with that. I took a dark purple eyeshadow and started shadowing around the skull. So I went around the lines that you have on the skull, so around the temple and around the eyes, and I made it just kind of a little bit away from that line to give it a shadow effect to make the skull look more 3D and less flat, and just blended it out into that lavender color. And I did it around the nose, around the jawline, and everything. And I also went in with a second purple color, a lighter one, and kind of blended it into that and out even further just to give it more shadow and more depth. Then I took that same dark purple color that we used the first time and I went around the cracked sections of the skull and skin, and with this I just put it up as close as I could to that crack and then blended it out into the purple. This will help give the illusion that the skin is actually sitting on top of the skull. And again, I did take some of the lighter purple that I had used and continued to put that on top of it and blend out even further. It just helps with the illusion of a shadow. Then I took a teeny tiny little brush and some black eyeshadow and just a very little bit on the brush. I added that to the very ends of that skin part as well and blended it into that dark purple. I also went ahead and added some of that black around the face to deepen up any of the shadows that I felt needed it more, mainly sticking around the temple and around the jawline. Then I decided the face just looked a little too flat still, so I got a hot pink eyeshadow and I put it in that same section with all the shadowing and just blended it onto it. That may be a little excessive, but I thought that the pink would also give it a two-toned look, making the look more interesting. Next, I'm taking a white body paint and I'm filling in the teeth. Now with the top layer of teeth, it's pretty much a triangle shape that I'm sticking with, and I'm adding it all the way until I get to the open jaw portion, where you could also continue the teeth further back because the teeth, our real teeth, would go back further than that, but I'm going to stop it right there. And then also putting teeth on the bottom portion, and again it's going to be a triangle shape, only it's going to be upside down. And again, just continuing along the bottom section until it gets to the same point as the top teeth. And then grabbing that black body paint, I filled in that cheek section that I did leave clear because I wasn't sure if I was going to bring the teeth back further or not, and I decided not to, so I filled it in with black. Next I took a detailed brush and some black body paint and started going around each tooth. I went straight across in a line from that cheek portion to the end of the skeleton teeth, and then I went around each individual tooth. This will help separate them and make them look like teeth. Now after I did that, I took that dark purple eyeshadow again and put it in between each tooth and then started dragging the color up. This will help give it more of a gum texture, or I'm not really sure that you'd want to call it a gum texture, but it helps give each tooth an individual spot so they look like a single tooth. I did the same with the bottom teeth. And I also took a smidgen of black in between each tooth as well and also blended it down so it looked like the teeth were, there's a shadow of the teeth hitting each other. Next I took a white body paint and dabbed it onto the high points of the face, so that would be the cheek, and just dabbed it out so that it gave it a highlight, as well as around the eyes, kind of where the eyebrow bone would be, and again dabbed it out with my finger because I wanted it to look a little softer, and also on the forehead. So next is the more beautiful girly side. So with this I decided to get a full coverage foundation and just put it all over my face, dabbing it in with a normal makeup sponge. You can use a beauty blender or a brush or whatever works for you. I just had a beauty sponge thing, so I used that. Next I took a concealer and put it under my eyes to brighten them up a little bit. Then I took a translucent powder and set it all. This will help with adding eyeshadows and also body paint on top of the foundation if you're going to put stuff on top of foundation. So again, I took the eyeliner pencil, just kind of roughly mapped out what I wanted to do on my eye, and I decided I was going to be doing a butterfly wing because I was going to add butterflies onto this look. So with this, I started with a dark purple body paint and just kind of mapped out the wing shape. So with this, I referenced a monarch butterfly wing, but of course you can use whatever type of butterfly wing you want. And I also filled in a pretty thick section at the end of the wing, and then I filled in the rest of it with that same lavender color we used on the other side. Just to help balance out the look, I wanted to keep the same color scheme. Then I took this jumbo eye pencil in white and I just put it on my lid and patted it down to give a nice base for some eyeshadows. Then I took a black body paint on a detailed brush and started adding more lines to make more of a wing shape. So I added these little curved lines, and I also added a line going down the bridge of my nose almost. Again, I was just referencing a butterfly wing. You can use any wing reference you want. And then I'm filling in any negative spaces with that black. Then I'm grabbing a hot pink eyeshadow again. It's the same one we used to kind of add some color to the skull side. And I'm going to be dabbing it onto sections of the wing to give it more depth and more color as well, more interest to the piece, as well as putting it all over that lid that we put the white eye base on. And then taking that same black body paint, I'm going to be adding what appears to be almost like a cat eye. Pretty much it is a cat eye that I would normally do, but I'm attaching it to that wing that we put on top of the eye. Then I also added some little tiny dots at the very end of the wing on the inner corner of my eye with black. Taking some white body paint on a detailed brush, I'm going to be adding little dots on the tip of the wing. Then I was adding a little white line underneath that cat eye that we did. Then I took some white and put it on the very tip of the wing, kind of making the wing a little bigger because I thought it was a tiny bit too small. And then taking a little bit of black, I outlined it. Next I'm taking this pink liquid lipstick and I'm going to be putting it on. It was a little bit too light pink, so I took that same hot pink shadow I had before and dabbed it on top while it was still a little wet, so it stuck to it nicely. Now I'm going to harshly contour my face, but I'm using an orange-ish contour. However, I did not have a contour brush for some reason. I couldn't find mine, so I just used a fluffy eyeshadow brush, so it's a little harsher than I really wanted it to be, but I blended it out as much as I could. Then I actually took that hot pink shadow I've been using and used it as blush, but I just made sure it was a little bit diluted. I didn't want it to be too bright pink. Then I realized my eye seemed a little bit like it was missing something. It just seemed like something wasn't right, so I took very watered down body paint and I added these little almost black tears dripping off of it. Then I added mascara. Then I also used a jumbo black pencil to fill in my waterline. After that, I did take a detailed brush and some black body paint and added some lines to separate the skin and the skull because I thought it needed just a little bit more, and I made sure that it was a very thin line so it wasn't too noticeable. Next, I took that same brown shadow that has a little bit of orange to it and I started shadowing on the skin side. And with this, I just leave a little gap in between the end of the line and the line that I'm going to be putting, kind of like I did with the skull side. This is going to help with the illusion of lifted skin. And in any spots that I felt like needed a deeper shadow, I just went in with a pure brown eyeshadow. Now for the body. So with this, I took my eyeliner pencil and kind of just mapped out where I wanted the open skull part to start and end. So taking that lavender color we used on the face, I'm going to be filling in those neck bones. It's just 3 circles, pretty much. Ovals, they're more like ovals. Then I took a black body paint on a detailed brush, outlined those ovals, and then I used a bigger brush to fill in the rest of the neck section that isn't going to have any bones. After that, I took a dark purple eyeshadow and just shadowed on the edges of that bone part again, as well as adding a bit of a dark line in the center of the bone to give it more depth. Then taking a white body paint like I did on the face, I'm going to be adding a little bit of a highlight and dabbing it out with my finger. Then taking my eyeliner pencil, I'm kind of mapping out this hole that's going to be in my chest. This is where the butterflies are going to be coming out. Then taking a black body paint, I just filled the whole thing in because there's going to be butterflies sitting around it, which will cover up any skeletal parts that I may paint in it, but you could also go the extra mile and like paint a rib cage or something right there. Then taking that same orangey brown eyeshadow that I used on the face, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the face, and I'm going to add that line to make it look like lifted skin, and I'm going to be doing it around the whole perimeter of that hole as well as around the chest section. And now I'm going to be taking these butterflies. I got some of them off Amazon, and this big one I got at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to be taking eyelash glue and just putting it around my body. I'm putting most of them around that hole where I want them to look like they're coming out of, as well as some on the other side to help balance out the look. I'm taking that giant one and sticking it in my hair as a little clip, but I wasn't quite sure if I liked it or not, so there's some parts of me with the butterfly clip in and some parts with me not having it in. It was kind of like a love-hate relationship with me and that butterfly. And then after I popped that wig on and I got the butterfly situated, that is the whole look. I hope you guys enjoyed this look. Be sure to let me know what you think. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and be sure to share this video. Be sure to tell me what you think and if you'd like to see me in the next Face Awards. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!